Big Pharma takes a big hit in the courts. A drone hit impacts the entire world's oil supply hard and has the U.S. and Iran trading jabs again. And UAW workers hit the picket line. I'm Crystal Ball, in for Jamal Simmons, and this is Why You Should Care. Capitalists, it is time to pour one out for Purdue Pharma. The pharmaceutical giant behind OxyContin filed for bankruptcy over the weekend amidst a plan worth more than $10 billion to settle a number of lawsuits that were filed against the company over its role in fueling the opioid epidemic. But those of us with little to no sympathy for the world's top producer of this destructive drug are once again finding ourselves looking for a way to help Purdue's victims. As a result of the Chapter 11 filing, the 2,000-plus lawsuits against Purdue and their owners, the billionaire Sackler family, they're now effectively over. Those victims will now be lucky if they receive half of the amount that Purdue promised them in their settlement agreements. 25 states are opposing this bankruptcy plan, and they'll have time to plead their case in front of a bankruptcy judge before Purdue's Chapter 11 plan is in fact approved. Still, it seems that if Purdue is allowed to go bankrupt, there will be little recourse for its victims to receive full compensation. And here's why you should care. Purdue listed nearly $10 billion in assets in its bankruptcy filing and another $1 billion in debt after spending nearly $250 million on legal fees related to the OxyContin suits. And the $10 billion settlement would almost certainly wipe out the company. The Sacklers aren't Purdue, and their finances are not so clear-cut. Last month, New York State Attorney General accused the family of transferring nearly $1 billion from their personal accounts into offshore holdings and other financial institutions. So, while victims of the opioid crisis, which the Sacklers had a direct role in creating, are scraping by, and the states that are dealing with this crisis struggle to keep up with the skyrocketing demand for treatment services, the brains behind the operation, the kingpins of the OxyContin cartel, may get by with what amounts to a slap on the wrist. The world woke up to pricier oil on Monday. Reuters reported that costs surged nearly 20% in a matter of hours. This after the world's biggest oil processing plant, located in Saudi Arabia, was attacked on Saturday morning. So here's what we know. Several drones struck the oil company Aramco's Abqaiq plant, wiping out roughly half of its oil production, including 5% of the global daily output, that according to CNN. Another key oil facility was also hit. While fires in both plants are under control, it's unclear when they will be back in full production. Now here's why you should care. Though the Yemeni rebel group Houthis have claimed responsibility for these attacks, the U.S. and Saudi Arabia have their eyes on Iran. The Houthi-run news agency stated that the rebel group successfully carried out a, quote, large-scale attack, but the AP reports U.S. officials argue the Houthis do not have the firepower needed to carry out a strike of this caliber on their own. The U.S. says that Iran is to blame. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo tweeted on Sunday, quote, Iran has now launched an unprecedented attack on the world's energy supply, and the president soon followed suit. While not naming names, he tweeted, there is reason to believe that we know the culprit are locked and loaded, depending on verification. While this is still developing, the president authorized the use of oil from the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve to make up for the losses, while Saudi Arabia works to get their facilities up and running at 100%. Iran, on the other hand, has denied any involvement, saying the accusations are part of a, quote, max deceit campaign. And according to CNN, the country's officials say they are ready for a full-fledged war. All of this comes, of course, after months of mounting tensions between the U.S. and Iran. United Auto Workers are on strike. The picketers are taking on the largest automaker in the country. Tens of thousands of workers at more than 50 factories and facilities across the nation walked off the job after contract talks came to a halt this weekend. This UAW strike is the first in a dozen years. Workers seek job security and better health care, among many other things. Employees also say that the company prioritizes profits over relationships with their workers, and the union is invoking the government bailout of a decade ago, where they say that workers really didn't see the benefits of the government's action.
We're striking because we want to be treated fairly. This job is very important to me. I am a third-generation General Motors employee. Okay, I have two sisters that work here at Detroit-Hamtramck with me as well. My father was here and his uncle before him. 3 generations. I have children. and my children will have children, and I want this place to still be around for them.
Here's why you should care. The company allows its efforts, saying they put a good offer on the table for employees, including higher pay and shared profits with union members. 2 GM plants, though, are scheduled to close, one in Detroit, the other in Lordstown, Ohio. Further complicating matters, UAW's president Gary Jones is still head of the union after officials met to discuss his status. He has been named as part of a widening federal corruption probe. According to the Detroit Free Press, Jones is UAW official A in a criminal complaint against a regional union director and Jones's predecessor. The probe is reportedly concentrating on the misuse of workers' training funds and alleged improper spending of union officials. Several Democratic presidential contenders have already weighed in on the strike, though, voicing their support of the striking workers.
Thanks for watching Hill TV on YouTube. Be sure to click subscribe and hit the bell so you know when we post new videos. And head to thehill.com for all the latest political news.